welcome back to Space Coast Channel's Laurie Brevard Show. I am your host, Malak, and today's guest is a very good friend of mine, and an honor to have her here, Kristen with the Morgan Project. Welcome.
Thank you, Malak. It's my pleasure to be here.
I am so excited to hear more about the Morgan Project. And you know, you've been in Brevard County for a long time. Obviously, the Morgan Project been in existence for a long time, but I think it's also a well-kept secret, as they say.
As a matter of fact, I think we were voted the best kept secret by Macaroni Kid this year.
Really?
Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Oh my God. It was just a shame. It really is, you know what I mean? Till I took a tour of your place and was absolutely fascinated by it. It touched my heart in every way possible. So would you please tell our audience a little about you, who you are and what you do, and a little about the Morgan Project?
My name is Kristen Malfera, and I am the founder and the volunteer executive director of the organization. We started all the way back in 2001, and after 15 years, you could still call us pretty much a grassroots organization. Run by all volunteers until 2 years ago when our clients exceeded my capacity of doing it with the volunteer staff. And so we have one volunteer right now and one paid staff member that works directly with the children. We started 15 years ago by doing nothing more than offering support to parents of children with special needs. And of course, it was named after my son, Morgan.
Yes.
Who is, of course, my light and my inspiration. And
he's 19 years old now?
He is 19 years old, which I cannot believe. So if anybody had told me when I started this all those years ago that I would sell both of my babies, I never would have believed you. My son's disorder, he has a very rare neuromuscular disorder called leukodystrophy. And the prognosis was very poor, and we were told that we would never see his 4th birthday. So the fact that he is 19 is it is absolutely amazing. And so we've used him as our inspiration all these years to try to help other parents. Empowering parents is a big part of what we do. I tell people that if I had done what the doctors told me to do back in 1997, which was keep your son comfortable and wait for the inevitable, that probably would have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I didn't do that.
Good for you, because if I remember correctly, when Morgan was born, he was a healthy baby. As healthy as you could see. As healthy as
10
you could
fingers,
see.
10 toes, right? Perfectly healthy.
Yeah, I know. And so you did not really see anything till he was, what, 10 weeks old?
About 10 weeks old is when symptoms of discomfort started. And it was just pretty much nonstop crying. 23 out of every 24 hours, he was hysterically crying.
Oh my God.
And of course, I had doctors poo-pooing me and telling me to give him chamomile tea. It's just colic, which I knew should have been long gone at that point. And it wasn't until he was 6 months old that I finally convinced my doctor something's not right here.
Wow.
And we went for further testing, and when he was 8 months old is when we were given the diagnosis of leukodystrophy.
Now, what is that? Is that, you're saying it's very rare, correct? So where did it come from? I don't understand that.
Well, leukodystrophy it's rare, and we have a catchphrase in the leukodystrophy world called "It's rare but everywhere," and it's basically a defective gene that contributes to the production of protein on the myelin of your brain. So, without getting too technical, there's 2 portions to your brain. There is the white matter, and then there's the gray matter. And the gray matter is very much like the protective coating of an electrical wire. So if you scrape the coating off of a wire, it's going to short circuit. Or the signal may get through, it may get garbled, it may never go through at all. And this is essentially how my son's brain works. So the signal from his brain to all the muscles of his body gets disrupted. Sometimes it gets through, sometimes it's slow, and sometimes it never gets through at all. And it's very devastating. And I've got to tell you, I had no earthly idea that something like this could even exist.
Well, I've got to meet Morgan more than once, and fascinating young man, and he seems to understand.
He understands
loves
every word.
Loves the ladies.
Oh,
yes, he does. He
just
loves
got a
the
Sports
ladies.
Illustrated calendar for 2017.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
He does. I love the smile on his face. He obviously, you have a fantastic relationship with him. But that must have really changed your lives, period, you and your family. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Flipped us upside down. Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody that, our life became a new normal.
Yeah.
And it is. It's totally unlike anything I had ever experienced, But it was also kind of a reflection moment. You know, I gotten to that point where I was taking life for granted a little bit. I had an older child that had, you know, some medical issues, but nothing as drastic as a leukodystrophy type of a diagnosis. And my husband and I were doing fine, and we had our home, and we had careers, and everything was just smoothly sailing. And so it kind of made me stop and reflect on my life and reflect on maybe what other families have gone through that I maybe wouldn't have stopped to think about before. I think I was that person in the grocery store that saw the child having the temper tantrum on the floor and thought, geez, really? They can't control their child?
Yeah.
And you flash forward all these years, and now I understand. I understand what happens when you have
could be
a
a
child.
reason.
Right, and it could be a disorder like my son's, which you see, it's a very obvious disability. It could be a child with autism that has the unseen disability. Made me kind of step back, and I think it made me a better person. It made me a more empathetic person.
How do
I
you
learned to
manage,
I
though?
learned to not take things for granted. You know, every smile is rejoiced in our house.
Which I could see that when you're with him, and I've seen you obviously on several occasions. How do you manage all that? Because he needs care 24/7.
Morgan does need care, and of course, my husband and I are his primary caregivers. And like for tonight, I have a wonderful nurse who's sitting at the house right now with Morgan, taking incredible care of him. If it weren't for nursing care and a supportive family that has taken the time to learn how to help us care for Morgan, my husband and I wouldn't get any breaks at all. And it's exhausting, and I have to admit it's been 20 years since I have had a decent night's sleep.
Yeah.
And it wears on you, and you know,
Yeah.
there's all these studies that tell you that physiologically you will age 10 years faster than your counterpart if you're a caregiver, and I believe it, and I have all the lines on my face
I
to
look
prove
beautiful.
it. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. I, honest to God,
I
would not
believe
trade
you.
it.
I believe you. When I think about you, I was trying in my head today, thinking about you being here, and thank you for being here. All I could think of was your advocate for hope, and I really do. And
Wow.
I'm gonna cry because I really am.
Nobody's ever
because
called me that before.
You really are. I mean, you know, you have taken this journey from, you know, birth to now, and now you've opened your doors for other parents. So tell me about the Morgan Project. What are you doing for other parents with kids?
Well, the Morgan Project started as my way of making sense of it all. I was trying to figure out why I was blessed to have this child. And I was also trying to figure out why this child was on this earth with all of these issues and still could have such a joy of life. He enjoys every moment of every day. So I thought, I have to find a way to celebrate this, right? And the best way I could think of to honor my child was to help someone else in the same situation. And I know it's hard for somebody to understand
Yes,
that,
it is.
but for me, it made it make sense. It just made everything make sense. I had this child in my life so I could do good through his name for others. And it goes all the way back to making me that better person.
Yes.
I don't think that I'd be doing what I'm doing today if it hadn't been for the inspiration of my own child. And so the Morgan Project, to answer your question, started out as a support group.
Yeah.
And it evolved over the years. And the reason it evolved is my little boy that was supposed to die refused to do so. And so he just kept getting older and growing and having new needs. And every time something new would come up that we needed that didn't exist, I was like, the Morgan Project could do that. So next thing you know, the Morgan Project was doing a equipment exchange program. So if you have a child that no longer needs their wheelchair or their walker or their stander or their diapers for that matter, you can donate them to the Morgan Project and we pass them on to another family that has a need. And there's never any cost to the donor or the recipient for anything that passes through us through the exchange program.
Now you're located on US 1.
We are on US 1, a little bit north of Post Road.
Yes.
And that's where home to all of our quality of life support programs is, which is Morgan's Place.
Which is beautiful, absolutely. But you know, obviously, I don't know the technical wording, but I've been in there, and I just wanted to play.
It's my magical melting
It is.
wonderland.
Could you please describe a bit what the inside looks like and what effects it has on the children?
That's the key, isn't it? So
yes.
trying to explain what we do is
Yes.
very difficult. Everybody knows what hunger is and homelessness,
yes.
right? But trying to figure this out is a hard one. So our sensorium is a very unique, one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art, wireless environment. that is a multitude of sights and sounds and smells and touch and activities that these kids can control with no intellectual reasoning whatsoever. So basically, with one action, they can make a choice. So they can push a button and our 7-foot bubble columns will turn blue.
Yes.
And the projections will turn blue and the table will start to vibrate. They can change the colors of the little balls. So you walk through our sensorium and we have bubble columns. And so I like to tell people that we don't just listen to music in our sensorium. We see it, we hear it, we touch it, and we hear it. We have the same thing with the lights. We have the same thing with the bubbles. We have a table that you sit on and you literally feel the music through your bottom. And this is what we tell the kids. Have you ever felt the music in your bottom before? And they sit there and the vibration from the music, they literally absorb it through all the senses in your body. And so you go through this room and you have all these different activities that you can do with minimal input. So any child, any ability can utilize this room. Morgan, who has very little physical use of his body, can coo, and through the voice activator, everything in the room changes.
Wow.
You can have a child with autism that is defensive, and there's certain things that they don't want, then they don't have to activate it. Or they could be sensory seeking, and they could turn everything on full blast at the same time. It's their choice. Now you got to remember, these are children that have no control in their lives.
Yeah.
So that for this brief moment in time,
Yeah,
they get to
do.
control everything. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the movement. What they want, they get to choose it. In a safe environment, of course.
Of course, it is just beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm asking all of you, if you can, please stop in on US 1, Morgan's Place. It is gorgeous, and it's obviously, it has the effect, obviously, on the children and their needs more than
It
anything else.
gives-
But for
it-
adults, it's amazing to see
For
what can be
anybody.
done.
For
what
anybody.
can be done.
I mean,
Yes.
I love going
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this room, but
Yeah.
the whole idea behind it for the benefit is that these children get to make a choice simply by taking part in an activity. They're making a choice. But you can have somebody who's very lethargic and needs to be stimulated.
Yeah.
This room will do that. You could have a child that is pinging off the walls and it will bring them down. You can have a child full on meltdown and they'll melt.
Wow.
We've had children speak for the first time in this room. That's the one that gets me. We've had two. We've had children speak for the
Wow.
first time. We've had children engage with their parents in activities that they normally wouldn't do. We've had children that will engage in peer-to-peer activities that they normally wouldn't do. We've had children with aggressive behaviors back off on some of their disruptive behaviors just by spending weekly sessions in our sensorium.
Are you one of a kind place? 'Cause I think you
We are
Yeah,
one of a kind,
Yes,
but I
yes,
have to tell you, Malak, there's a
Yeah.
reason why we're one of a kind,
Yes.
and I didn't realize it when I first opened it. We're one of a kind because these sensoriums, or multisensory environments, exist. There's about 250 of them in all of North America, but they're all within a hospital or a residential facility or a therapy clinic or a school, and they're only for their own clients. We are the only one in all of North America, with the exception of one in Toronto, that is
Wow.
open to the general public,
Wow.
that anybody with a child with a special need can utilize our place.
Wow.
So I thought that was so great.
That is
well, except for now I figured out why we're the only one.
Why?
Because there's no revenue stream. And as a
Okay.
nonprofit, as we all know, without the
Yes.
money coming in, the services can't go out. And so we don't want to charge our families. We don't want to charge these parents that are struggling to,
Yeah.
to take
Everybody's
care of these
struggling,
children in the
yes.
family home.
Yeah.
So many parents don't. They choose to give up their children for whatever reason. They're just unable to care for them in the family home. So we want to support them. So the last thing we want to do is have the families that we're serving paying for these services that they're getting.
How do you fix that?
It has been our challenge for the last 3.5 years since we opened. One of the things we do is we have sponsorships. So we have individuals and businesses in the community can come in, they can sponsor our programs. We do fundraisers, of course. We are completely dependent upon the generosity of the community, wholeheartedly. And our parents will join our membership program. It's a nominal fee, it's $60 a year.
Wow.
But that covers the cost of their t-shirt and some of the activities that we do.
That's very low.
But we do birthday parties for children with special needs. It has a fee. But basically, it is donations, fundraisers, and grants that keep us going.
You have won several awards, numerous awards
few.
actually. Yeah,
A
you,
few.
yeah, you have. You definitely have. And I was actually at the last one that you won from ARP, and that was
Yes,
fantastic.
ARP, yes.
I know it. I couldn't believe that. I would never admit to that. I said, "Remember that?"
I know. When I found out, I was like, yay! I was like, oh.
But you know, why do you believe the awards are being given? And if that many awards are being given, I would think that someone out there should know there's a need for what you do, and
You would
funding
certainly
is
think so.
necessary.
You would absolutely think so. And quite honestly, the only reason I allow anybody to even nominate me for any of these awards is to raise awareness.
Awareness.
And awareness of the need, first and foremost, is that there are services that are necessary and they're not being provided. And everything that we do at the Morgan Project is filling a need that doesn't exist that really our community should be providing to families like mine. And that's why we're doing it. They don't exist and we're trying to step in and provide it. And secondly, I allow them to put my name out there if it's going to raise funds for the organization. So unless it
Okay.
comes with some kind of an awareness campaign and or a
Yeah.
nice big fat check, I don't put my name out there just to receive the accolades.
Yes, and you and I have spoken about how important it is to network in our community, and because it is about awareness. That's all it's about, is awareness.
And collaboration.
And,
we all
you
have to
know,
collaborate
and
together.
that's what I mean, together. There's so
Yeah.
many nonprofits, but I think yours is so particular and obviously one of a kind. You have an opportunity right now to ask our audience, what would you like to ask for?
I think the first thing that I would ask is if you know a family that is raising a child with a special need, give them our information. Send them to our website. It's very simple. It's themorganproject.org. We have a list of all of our programs right there on the website. We have our email on the website. We have our phone number on the website. We have a list of disability resources that is so extensive that other organizations have asked our permission to have links to our resources.
Wow.
So if we can't provide the support that you need, we can point you in the right direction. That would be the very first thing that I would say. Secondly, we need your support. We can't continue to provide these services without like-minded individuals and businesses supporting us. And if you have the desire to give back in your community, to help children in need, please consider the Morgan Project for your charitable giving. We have individual programs, we have sponsorship programs, we have fundraisers coming up. We're doing, I'm so excited, we're doing a fundraiser at the brand new American Muscle Car Museum on April the 7th. It's being hosted by Sheriff Wayne Ivey and his beautiful, beautiful wife. They're our hosts for the evening.
Fantastic.
And we're going to be doing a fundraiser that evening. So we are in need of sponsorships. We are in need of in-kind sponsors. We're looking for food sponsors. We're looking for beverage sponsors. We are looking for volunteers. We try to do this with an all-volunteer staff, at least as best as we can.
I'm signing up right now.
Thank you very much. I'm holding you
Yes,
to that.
yes,
So
I
that's
sign
what I
up
would
right now.
ask is consider giving of your time, giving of your money, if you so choose.
Yeah.
Come by for a tour.
Yes.
I cannot
That's
explain
very
what we do
important,
at
very
Morgan's
important,
Place
yes.
until you walk in, and you got to
Yes,
experience that.
yes.
You walk in and have that wow factor.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
do.
oh, now I get it. Once
Yes.
you walk in and you see it, and you see these children, and for less than an hour,
Yeah.
they get to control something, and really we control everything in their lives.
Well, I'm
So-
going to hope that our audience have heard your ask and someone would contact you again. And,
I would certainly hope so.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. You're an
Thank you,
amazing woman. And
appreciate
I
it.
promise you, that's all I kept thinking, an advocate for hope. That's what you are.
Wow.
Yeah, you
Can I
really
steal
are.
that?
Please, I promise you. That's all I kept thinking.
Wow,
you know,
okay.
you really are. I promise. promise.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll tell you what, this community is very fortunate. I mean, you give back to every charity, and I will tell you that you've been a huge supporter of the Morgan Project, but it's not just our organization. You give to everybody in the community, and
Thank
I
you.
love the fact that you want to collaborate and you want to help everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all in,
Yeah, and I love what Space Coast Channel is doing by
Isn't it?
giving us a voice. I mean, I can't
Voice.
thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to tell people about the
Yes.
Morgan Project, a little bit about my
See,
Morgan,
I know it. That's
and
beautiful.
how the community can step up and help us. You know,
Absolutely. And these are from Buds and Bows for you to say thank you for all
For
that
me?
you do for you.
Oh, my
Buds
goodness.
and
Well,
Bows
thank
from
you
Buzzy,
very much.
yes.
Wow,
you know,
they're
and this beautiful
beautiful.
place, obviously, for us to host this, obviously, coastal interior. So again, it's an honor to
former
have you here.
beachside girls at Coastal Interiors is one of my favorites.
Thank you, and thank you again for being here. It's absolutely an honor.
Thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for
Well,
having me.
Thank
Well.
you. Thank you.